logical operators. So far, we've seen pretty simple expressions for testing truth or falsity, but sometimes we might have more complex tests that we need to run, like testing two conditions at once. We do that using logical operators. Now, there are three of these logical operators. The exclamation sign, the exclamation mark, is a logical not. Double ampersand, as you'll see in the text, is the logical and the double pipe is a logical or. Now, to demonstrate this, we're going to create a simulated network that requires a username and a password to log in. It will only allow a select group of game designers to have full access. With a successful login, the members get a personalized greeting. Now, this system does allow guests, though, as long as they know to enter guest for either the username or the password. So let's begin. I've got a new document that I will save. And we'll call this designersnetwork.cpp. And just some comments at the top. Logical operators. We include IOStream. We're also going to include the string library, which will allow us to bring in strings, and give a directive that we're using the std namespace. With that, I can go ahead and open my main function. And the first thing I'll do is set up a couple variables. I'll have a string variable called username, a string variable called password, and then a Boolean variable called success. Give our initial prompt. Game Designers Network, followed by a carriage return. The /t is for tab. This will tab the text over the equivalent of one tab space. Now we'll set up a do loop, and every time this loop runs, it's going to prompt the user for their username, and allow them to input a username into the username variable. Remember, we set that as a string, so it is... They could potentially put in spaces, punctuation marks. It's more than one character, so they can put in a series of characters. After that, we want to prompt them for their password. And pass that string into the password variable. Now we set up some conditional tests. We want to make sure that they put in the correct username and the correct password. So we test if username is equal to Sid Meier. We want to make sure they give the correct username and password, so we use the logical AND operator. Password equals civilization. Okay, what this test will do is it will check to make sure that both the username and the password are correct. If they are correct, it will return, "Hey Sid," as a greeting, and set our success variable equal to true. Now we have else if username is equal to S Miyamoto, and it's also the password is equal to Mario Bros. If that expression is true, then we say, "What's up, Shigeru?" And I probably misspelled that. And I did, because his name is actually Shigeru. Success equals true. And else, if username is equal to guest, or the password is equal to guest. Welcome guest, and set success equal to true. And then our final else, if none of these three return true, we will tell the user your login failed. And this time we'll set success equal to false. Now we end our do loop with the condition while exclamation mark success return 0 and end our main function. Okay, our logical AND operator, which I use here, lets us join two expressions to make a larger one, which we can then evaluate as true or false. Without this, we could only test username or password. We could not test both at once without joining them using this logical operator. With this logical operator, we join the two and we say, as long as both of these are true, then the larger expression is true. So, if the user enters s.meyer and the password of civilization, then this expression will be true. If they only enter one correctly or the other correctly, then this expression is false. Okay, we do the same thing here, testing if they have the correct username and the correct password. And here we test if they have either guest or password, either guest as their username or as their password. We test one or the other. The OR operator lets us join the two expressions together and test whether one of them is true. As long as at least one of these joined expressions is true, the larger overall expression is true. Now, the last one, while success, this is the NOT operator. This lets you switch the truth or falsity of the expression. Rather than testing if success is true, we test if success is not true. And if success is not true, then our overall test is true. In other words, if success is equal to true, then this is also true, because it says, actually this is false, sorry. If success is true, then we can end our loop, because we're asking, is success false? We only repeat the loop if success is false. That way we only repeat our login process if the login was unsuccessful. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how that works. I'll save my changes. Now you might notice if you're following along in the book, I left out the line for will write. That's just because I happened to skip over it. Doesn't affect the overall processing of our program. So we're going to compile designersnetwork.cpp and go ahead and run it. Okay. First time around, I'm just going to put username Jeff, password me. And it says my login failed. So now I'll put Sid Meier for my username and civilization for my password. And it greets me and ends the program. Let's go ahead and run that again. Now we'll go ahead and put in write with the password of The Sims. And it says that our login failed. Will hasn't been added into the system yet, so he has to log in as a guest. If he puts his username as write and then password guest, it welcomes him and allows him into the program. We'll run it again. This time we'll put username guest, password write, and you see it lets him in. That's the way the logical operators work. Now, logical operators do have their own order of operations. The logical NOT operator has a higher level of precedence than AND has a higher precedence than OR. If you have a really complex test and you're using multiple logical operators, you may find yourself needing to use parentheses to override that order of operations. Basically, we can just add these into our normal order of operations with arithmetic, with the understanding that we can wrap them in parentheses in order to make them more important than they would otherwise be. So that's it for this round of videos. In a couple of days, we will continue with our understanding our game loop and how we can flowchart our programs, and then we'll develop a program that lets us guess a number. Sorry about the rattling and the noise, just minor difficulties here. All right, have a great week, and let me know if you have any problems. Thanks.